Ahmad Hraichie, thank you so much for making the trip out here on this rainy day. But first of all, I'm grateful that we're actually here because it means no one has passed away and you're not at a funeral today. So I'm super grateful.
No, thank you very much for having me, Nick. I brought my passport with me because it was that far, for just in case there was a checkpoint I had to go through. But we're here. So we've been trying to tee this up for a while. And, you know, when I get invited for something like this, I call it an invitation and I call it a blessing. It's always in the back of my head, I've got to do it now. A lot of people in life take the easy and say, I couldn't be bothered, man. I've got a day off, stuff it, I'll do what I want. But, you know, you get in life what you put in. And I said to myself, you know what, there's no funeral today. Thank God. We teed it up last night. I said, if I hear nothing by 9 a.m., even though I've got a guy who's on his last breaths right now, so I'm just waiting for the, but being due to the weather, I said, this is perfect for a podcast. So I'm here.
I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
And I was saying to you just before, I was trying to mentally prepare myself for this because your line of work, and we'll dive into that, essentially it's life and death.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to get deep and we're going to talk about, I guess, topics and areas that not many people speak into. But at the end of the day, it's the reality, right?
100%, man. You know, I tell everyone my job requires me to be at the worst day of someone's life, when they've lost a mother, father, child, you know, partner, whatever. So it's not, my phone calls aren't happy phone calls. Everyone out there gets a happy phone call. People around me always know when my phone rings, they hold their breath, they go, who died? Or who's about to go? So it's like I've already learned to adapt to it, man. But I still enjoy life, you know what I mean? Life, you're living, the living must enjoy it, but prepare for what's coming.
How I came across you was actually through Billy.
Yeah.
And I seen a video, I'm like, who is this guy? This massive dude that works in a cemetery and buries people. I'm like, what is all this about? Like, and I dove into you and I actually watched was it the One Path Network?
One Path, yeah.
That
was a really effective
was
documentary.
deep. That was deep. And I was like, I got to get this guy on.
Yeah.
You're an interesting character. I love what you're about. And even though, you know, you're of the Muslim faith, right?
Yeah.
And for me, I'm spiritual and I'm very interested in all different religions and what you can learn from them.
Yeah.
And I'm very open-minded. I'm not like other people that are very closed-minded, like this is my religion, this is it, I don't care about anything else. I'm like, what can we learn from each other here? Have an open discussion, let's dive deep, because at the end of the day, we're human.
100%, man.
We all have our own faiths, our own beliefs, but once we come back to the core, we're human. And I was like, I'm getting this guy on, we're going to have a conversation and we're going to see where it takes us.
100%, Nick. I mean, what you just said there is basically sums it up, that we're all human. We're all born from a mother, from a womb. We all bleed. We all have emotions. And I say that actually in a video yesterday on one of my videos coming back from the funerals, I said, you know, it doesn't matter what faith you are. Death affects everybody. Death doesn't pick and choose or discriminate with faiths. So we're all human. We all hurt. We all have feelings. We all have, repercussions. We all have all this stuff that affects us emotionally when we lose someone. So it doesn't matter what faith you are. The faith only is a pillar to make you accept and hold tight and be solid with it. But because life has to go on for the living, like we just said. But it doesn't mean life stops. But we need to still accept it. And everybody out there hurts, man. Everybody.
For people that don't know you, right? Because you go on social media and you see the line of work that you're in now, or if people want to go back to see the bodybuilding side of your life. But what is the context that the listener needs to know about Ahmad to better understand the man that sits in front of me today?
Look, Ahmad Hraichie was a kid that grew up in Sydney, Australia, you know, born and raised in Australia. All my mates were from the Shire, you know, I grew up around the Shire. First job delivering pizzas like a lot of people did. Loved Cronulla Beach, was into bodyboarding, into skateboarding, all the stuff that are normal. Might have the dark hair and all that. Didn't have a beard back then. You know, got into athletics, got into swimming, got into boxing, fought at the PCYC, did all that stuff, tried out for the Olympics in 2000, and then turned to bodybuilding. And I only turned to bodybuilding because I found that was a sport that gave me, for my character, my kind of personality growing up at school was, I didn't like to be a follower. I always said, with or without you, I will still do what I was going to do. You know, I didn't like team sports. Because, you know, Nick, in a team sport, You may do all the work to set up the goal, for example, but somebody else kicks it and he gets all the limelight. So I thought, you know what? I don't want to be part of that. I want to be part of something where if I put effort in, I see the results. I'm acknowledged for the results. Nobody else takes your limelight. So bodybuilding was kind of the thing that I loved. And at the same time, it taught me to be disciplined because I was disciplined in life. Taught me to be dedicated, eating on time, eating clean, doing cardio, lifting weights. And at the same time, kept me on my faith.
Talk to me about that period of your upbringing where your parents thought you were going down the wrong path and they sent you over to Pakistan. What was that like? Like, what's going through your head? Because I sit here now and I go, if I was, because how old were you?
14.
If I was 14 and my parents shipped me off to a different country, I'd be like, what is happening? Like, do they love me?
I used to go every weekend with my uncle. He had a car yard called Dane's Car World in Wollongong. So I used to go with him on the weekends and clean cars, detailing, get $30, and get a free kebab for lunch. That was like mad. And I remember I seen him once get petrol, siphon it out from a can into a car or whatever they used to do back then. And I thought, you know what? He's busy. There's no one around. I'm going to try this. This looks cool. So I did it a couple of times and, choked up the first time, second time, wow, I'm starting to feel good. And then every weekend I'd go and do a little bit more. And then I think it was by the 4th or 5th weekend, it was the weekend of my uncle's wedding, actually. Like he was going to finish work and go to his wedding. And I was at the back and it was about 5 o'clock in the hour and I just kept doing it until I just basically went into, I was high. So high as a kite. And I walked out of that garage area into the actual showroom of the car yard and he was talking to a customer and I could hear the words echoing, like, and I'm like looking, I'm getting dinosaurs running around and they knew something was going on. I was 14. And my uncle kind of put me in the car and I remember that day he bought me a kebab and I vomited, dropped me at home and told my mum, which was his sister, your son, you know what he did, blah, blah, blah. And my mum started crying, my son's a junkie, all this stuff. And who do we speak to? Let's speak to someone in the community that's, a bit of a religious person. He said, I got the best idea. Let's send him to Pakistan. There's, schools there called madrasas. They'll teach him how to be a good person in the community. He'll learn his religion. He'll learn the Quran and you'll know where he is and there's no petrol there. Like, Mom, let's send him $50 a month. Let's do it, And I was put on a plane, man, and I was sent and I got the wake-up call of my life, also the lesson of my life. And to this day, I still remember it. I still respect it and it made me who I am and it was part of my growing up.
Because are you Pakistani or no?
No, I'm not. Everyone thinks I'm Pakistani.
You're Lebo?
I'm Lebanese.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Don't look at I'm more Aussie than Lebo.
But I mean, no, I'm not Pakistani. After that, everyone thinks I'm Pakistani. They were like, "Yeah, brother." I was like, "No, bro, I'm not Pakistani, but I could speak the language a bit, and I lived with them and spent some time there." But it was an experience in my life, man, and I really remember the Gulf War back then. It was '89, and the Gulf War was going on, and we're all listening to the radio, and we didn't even know what was going on. I mean, we're innocent kids, and we're just doing what we have to do. And I came back to Australia, and I never touched petrol again, and I think that's where the discipline about everyone who learns a faith in life always seems to go back to his faith or turns back to it in a way that it's moss. It was the best time of my life during that period. I want to get that feeling again of when I was like that, when you go kind of a little bit astray. And it kept me going in my life. And that's where every time I encountered different obstacles in life, that memory of Pakistan came back to me and taught me that I've done some of the hardest things in life. This ain't hard.
Do you feel like faith is being lost in society? Because you look at a lot of young men now and they're struggling. The suicide rates are so high.
Massive.
And for me, I feel like it's a big part of that is the lack of faith. Yeah. And because my understanding is like, if you're a man of faith, no matter what adversity you're faced with, God's in your corner.
Yep.
He's there. He's going to help you and guide you through whatever you're going through. But with that lack of faith, men feel like they're the only ones that can do it. And they feel like it's too hard. And the only way out is to unfortunately take their own life. Do you feel like coming back to faith is going to help a lot of those issues when it comes to men's mental health?
100%, man. Like faith it's a solid foundation, but it depends how that faith was brought into your life. I always compare it to a computer that's been doing programs and working fine for 2 months, and then all of a sudden you put it through a rigorous program and it breaks down. And faith is the same. It all seems to be nice and sweet when everything's going good in your life. You know, work's good. I've got my social life. Body's good, healthy. I've got no calamities in the family. Mum's alive. Dad's, all this stuff that brings the round picture of life's perfect. Then all of a sudden you're hit with a trial or a calamity or a tribulation or some test in life, and you break down and your faith gets thrown out the window. Why? This is where we say, you know what? Faith needs to be built solid. And the way to build something solid is to keep every single day on it and accepting. And this is mainly in our religion, in Islam, is we accept. Whether something bad comes to us, we accept and say it's a test. We have to be patient. And if something good comes to us, we say, thank God, it's a blessing. So both ways, everything that happens to the believer, we say, is always good. Whether it's bad or good, it's always good, because this world is all meant to be a test anyway.
What advice would you give to, say, a 27-year-old who's feeling lost right now in life, didn't really have a faithful upbringing?
Yep.
But we both know that faith is important to get us back on track. What advice would you give them without going, hey, come to Islam, come to Christianity?
Yep.
Like, what advice?
Look, I would say to them, first of all, go visit the cemetery.
Yeah.
No matter what part of the cemetery you go to, what faith. There's plenty of faiths in it. There's people with no faiths. Go visit the cemetery and go read those tombstones. And go read those ages. 20-year-olds, 90-year-olds, 80-year-olds, 70-year-olds. And read those ages that were blessed for whatever years God gave them on this earth. And look at yourself and look at your age and say, how much time do I have left on this earth? Am I willing to keep going like this? Or am I willing to stand for something, live for something? And when I do finally depart this world, go to a better place. Because we are going to go to somewhere else. I don't believe that we were just born to eat, graze like animals and then die. There's a bigger purpose. You can't be a person who's done good all his life put into the same basket as someone who's done bad all his life.
So where do you believe, in Islam, where do they believe like you go once you pass away?
Look, everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
So we say every soul will taste death. So every soul will go through death.
Mm-hmm.
It's that time of death that you will see where your place is. Because we say in Islam, the angels come and take your soul. They are sent to take your soul by the angel of death. Now, those angels could be good angels, could be bad angels.
So is it like heaven and hell?
It's like heaven and hell. Yep. And then we say that we go from the grave to the barzakh, which is the barrier, which is the unseen world, where all souls join with each other, the good souls. And usually the closest you get to that is sleep. So sleep, we say in Islam, is the minor death, because your soul departs your body. How many times have you slept and you have actually felt your dreams were so real that you were hurting, you were talking underwater, you were doing stuff that you couldn't do if you were alive?
Get hit by a car and you wake up.
Hit by a car, jumping off mountains, flying. This is the soul. And at the end of the day, our body will go back into the ground, it'll decompose, and it'll return back to dirt. Our soul will never, ever, ever die. Your soul that's it. It belongs to the Almighty. He created you, and He deems what's suitable for you.
Do you believe in like past lives, like where your soul goes into a next life?
We believe in the barrier,
Yeah.
the barzakh, we call it. So once you depart this world, then the next thing is the barrier, where everyone is in lingo, waiting for the day of resurrection.
Yeah, okay.
Because that day will come. Everyone believes in the last day on this world, where the world will be destroyed and there'll be no more humans left, no more, and everyone is resurrected, the day of resurrection. So all the souls will come back to be recompensed, to be judged. Everyone's judgments, because we believe there's angels on our shoulders. They write every single thing down. So you think a bad thought, but you change your thinking, it's become a good thing. There's fairness, you know what I mean? But at the same time, there's accountability, man. Like, as a human being on this earth, you're accountable. It's not just I do what I want, when I want, how I want. And this is already emphasized in the world. There's rules and regulations in every country. So why isn't there rules and regulations for your actual soul and body?
That's a good question.
Why isn't there? Why can you just go do whatever you want, kill, rape, blah, 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 and think it's okay? Your soul has rules and regulations. It has to abide by them, And we say breakfast for the soul is prayer. Praying, having faith. That's your breakfast. That's your food for the soul. Your body needs food to fuel it, to muscle, recovery. But your soul needs food also. And what can you feed your soul? You can't feed it food. You need to feed it good things. which is good deeds, doing charity, talking good words, praying, being in calm state, being in a tranquil state in life. And I tell everyone the same thing, man. If you can learn to be content with what little or what lot you have, and you can be humble in life and swallow your pride, then you're 99% on the way to being a good soul.
On that, on material things and possessions and financial success, there was a period of your life where you had all that.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we can't take that to the grave. And watching that documentary of like where you wash the body and you get wrapped in your final garment, like you're not getting put in your Nike shoes or your Louis shirt. Like,
no,
it's just your body and that garment. What's your relationship like now with financial success and material items?
It's all an illusion. I'm a custodian to it. I've been given it by the Almighty, loaned to me. It's all loans. You know how loans are things that you have to give back? So if someone loaned me, if you, Nick, came and said, Ahmad, I'm just going to leave my car with you as a loan because I'm going away to work for 6 months or 12 months. If I went and sprayed your car a different color and changed the interior and did the engine, you're going to say, what the hell are you doing? This is not yours. And same with the body. The body is loaned to us. This body is loaned to you for your soul. What do you do with it all comes back to you because we're humans. We're given free will. So you're going to be asked accountability about what did you do with your body and soul? Did you get up early and have a fitness regime and eat healthy and look, keep yourself positive? Or did you go through misery and put yourself in a slump and eat bad food and get yourself diabetes and all the stuff, you know what I mean? This is why we as humans have that free will. And this is why we say, in the Quran, that God created death, then life. Because really we're dead now. We haven't lived. Because the soul's going to be eternal. When we die, we live. Because our eyes will open up then into the unseen world. And then we say, to see who of you does the best of deeds. See, when God says that in the Quran to us, he says the best, it automatically gives every single person a chance out there to be a winner. Because if you said the most deeds, we're all going to lose, bro. You got these Emirati guys who can just buy deeds, They can buy good, doing good. They just millions of dollars to do good. But when you do the best of deeds, it's deeds that come out from your heart. It's that deeds that are done with certainty, And that could be something as small as, you know what? You see something on the footpath as you're walking, you move it out of the way so nobody injures themselves. It's done from no one sees you, no one's watching you, no one's cameraing you. It's just done for the sake of being good.
Just being a good human.
Being a good human, man. That's it. Common sense, be a good human, bro. Don't steal, don't thieve, don't kill, respect your parents. Be a good human. That's what the fundamentals of life are. We say every baby is born on the fitra, meaning the pureness of no evil in them. There's nothing called an evil baby, unless you're watching Boss Baby. I mean, my granddaughter's been killing me with it. I've used it now as my M-joy. But bro, like we're humans. You look at that. That's why I tell everyone, if you ever want to do something with your kids, take them to the cemetery, man. I know it sounds weird, but you know why? Show them the reality. Show them the reality that this is where we're all going. Let them know that this world is superficial so that they won't be asking you, I want the latest this and the latest that. And, you're struggling. Parents are struggling out there to provide for, food on the table, let alone buying their kids the latest shoes and the latest this and the latest that. Let them see for themselves that this life is only temporary, that whatever you have is going to be left. You told me before about, the good stuff, the clothes and all this Nikes you're not taking with you. Yesterday I washed my mate who I went to school with, He died on a cruise 2 days ago. His cousin took him on a cruise. He's going through stress in life. He just thought, you know what? I'm going to take you on a cruise around Queensland. They jumped on the cruise. He had dinner and he didn't feel well. Went down to the medical clinic in the ship and ended up dying. And we got him yesterday. We washed him and buried him. And it was just hundreds of people there from our school days. One of the boys who grew up in the area, 46 years old, Mohammed Dib. And I said to myself, wow, all I could remember when I washed him was when I stood next to him at Roseland's pool at the school carnivals, and I used to train swimming so I could blast them all, and he had the biggest calves I've ever seen. Like, he was a stocky guy that trained. And I just pictured that 30 years ago, man. Like, as I was washing him, like, these memories never leave your mind. These things in life, you can't just erase them. And I thought to myself, when I got him, he was still in his clothes that he was on the cruise with. And you're cutting his shirts off, you're cutting his pants off, you're cutting his singlet off. The shoes were in a bag. They were the last shoes he put on. Like, this is his wardrobe. And back home, he's got a full wardrobe. Who's going to take it now? It's all left for somebody else. You get shipped in white cloth. You know, you've seen how we, in Islam, doesn't matter if you're the richest man in Dubai or the poorest man in Ethiopia. If you're Muslim, you'll get wrapped in the shroud. And because all that does is emphasize the fact that we're all the same, except our deeds. And the deeds, nobody can see them except God, because they are on the other side. And that's why I say to everyone, when you see the body, you know who it is. You identify them. They have a status, or whoever they were. Once we shroud them and have them, if I've got 2-3 bodies there at the funerals, nobody even knows which one was which anymore. They're asking me, oh, which one's Mr. Such and Such? Or which one was my mate? Because they all look the same now. And this is the humbleness of what it brings you back to in religion, in faith, in life, as a human. Be humble, man. Be humble, because if you're not, you're going to go back to the dirt. You know, one example, Nick, I always hits me, you know, part of our religion, when we die and bury, the Prophet taught us to throw 3 handfuls of dirt. From it you were created, from it you will be resurrected, and from it you shall return. Okay? And I thought to myself, wow, I've never thought why we do this. Like, a lot of faiths throw dirt into the grave, right? They throw handfuls. I thought, I'm going to find out a little bit more about why we do this. Is it because someone told us to do it? There has to be some sort of facts in it. And because we are created from dirt, ultimately, and we return to dirt, if I was to throw dirt on somebody alive, that's disrespectful. If I threw dirt on my dad or mum or sister or wife or a mate, man, why are you throwing dirt on me, bro? That's disrespectful. Dirt is, dirt. It's going to soil your clothes. It's going to spoil your clothes. But your mum, your dad, your loved one, your best mate, whoever it is, the utmost respect you had for him, prime minister, whatever, you put him in the hole and you throw dirt in there. You're throwing dirt on him. And I've always visualized being in that grave, looking up and dirt coming at you. Like, it's like, what he's doing, man? Like, what he's doing? You're throwing dirt on me now. You're trying to get rid of me. Bro, at the end of the day, because you're not part of this world anymore. It's just the soul now. It's just your soul's going to be determining what it did. So I thought to myself, why do we do this? It's because it's for the living, not for the dead. It's because when you throw that dirt, you have a little bit of dirt left on your hands. Feel it. Rub it with your hands and feel that this is what you're going back to. So humble yourself. Swallow your pride, because this is where we're going. This one day will get done to you. One day someone will walk away. No matter who you were, how rich you were, they're going to feel that dirt on their hands. They're going to, damn, I better wash my hands now. Because it humbles you that you're all going to get this done to you. Wow. It's deep, man. It's deep.
That's powerful, man.
It is. And we sometimes, as humans, we don't ponder, man. We don't ponder. We just do things like blindly, because everyone else is doing it. Ponder, why was this? Why are we even on this earth for? Why were you given life to the age of 27, but you've probably lost mates on the way? Why did my mate die at 17? Why did my mate die at 22? Why am I married with a kid and my mate can't have kids? Ponder. Ask yourself, because you're favored. Because that's a favor from the Almighty, but you will get tested. God tells us every single one of you will be tested in this world. Some with your health, some with your wealth, some with your children. Some, all of them. And how many people do you know have tests in life? Have a sick child, financially not doing well, their health is no good. Bro, it's life.
It's the reality. And just like you explained with your mate, like, he went on a cruise to kind of de-stress, get away from the hustle and bustle of life, and he passed away just like that. And like 2 months ago, I had a podcast guest on. A month later, he passed away.
Wow.
And I'm like,
you were just talking with him. I was
just talking to him, having a deep conversation, and now he's not with us. And it's just, it really does give you a reality check of, you just don't know when your time is up.
You don't know, bro. And we know that, like in the Quran, like we know that death awaits you wherever you are. It awaits you. You don't go to it. It's waiting for you. You're going to it, in the sense it doesn't come to you. People say, oh, bro, but wrong place, wrong time. No, we don't say that, because it's a decree. It was meant to happen. Because how many times have people missed their flights or something's happened? They say, man, if I missed that flight, it could have been the dead one. Well, you weren't meant to die. Your time wasn't up on this earth. And I thought, my mate Muhammad, if we knew that our time of death, his time of death was out in the middle of the ocean, in the darkness of the night on a boat, you say, hey, no way, bro. I'm in Sydney. How the hell I'm in Bankstown or Greenacre? How the hell am I going to end up somewhere in the middle of the ocean? But Look what unfolded. Oh man, let's go on a cruise. Yeah, all right, bro. Why not? On a cruise in the middle of the ocean somewhere, on a boat at night, he ends up meeting the angel of death. Angel of death's waiting for him there. He got sent to that location to pass away.
And they say in the scriptures, like, it's all written.
It's all written, man. One thing you can never change is the decree of your death. You know, you can ask to have a longer life that's more beneficial. But at the end of the day, you are going to die. I mean, the other day I was at the cemetery and we buried a 44-year-old, and I always love to ponder and walk around, read the names, and because I've done a lot of those funerals and a lot of those graves. And bro, Nick, you know, I just seen a guy he was 108 years old. And I looked and his wife was buried on top of him. She died a couple of years ago at 87. For together, they're 200 years on this earth combined. Next to him is a 17-year-old. 17, bro, 17. So this guy was like 91 years old when this kid was born. Like, who would have thought you lived 90 and you're going to die before him? The baby. And it just made me aware that, you know what, bro, no one can even be promised tomorrow. It's a false promise.
Ahmad, what's your relationship with death?
I'm scared of death, man.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who tells you they're not scared of death is crapping. Because you just imagine you're going to see something come at you not from this world. But if we're driving and a wombat pulls up in front of us, you're saying the F word and the S word and, you know. So imagine something not from this world is going to come and take your soul. How are you going to react? What's your mind going to be like? And you can talk about it all day. I'll do this and do that. But you know what? When it happens, it's a whole different thing. Me with death, I think I'm going to die eventually, and I hope I leave a legacy behind that for years and years to come. People watch my videos. I can help people. I can give comfort to people. I want to be a key for goodness. I want to be that key for goodness that when I pass away, people say, man, his words were always comforting. They're always real. And that I have no regrets about coming back to this world to do good. Because one of the things that we were taught in the Quran, it says is, you don't want to be one of the ones who passes away and then says, please, God, bring me back to the earth so I can do good deeds. Because it's just words now. There's a barrier now. You're not going to come back into this world. So why are you waiting for that time to say, bring me back to do good? Why don't you do good deeds from now? Good deeds start from right now, not tomorrow, right now. And a good deed is as much as ringing up and calling your mum, calling your dad, saying to your kids, I love you. Good deeds, brother. You don't need to go and have millions of dollars to do a good deed. You know, speaking good words. Bro, just praying, putting your head to the ground and praying. You know, lowering yourself, saying, you know what, oh God, please thank you for giving me what you've given me. You know, the heart, they say, beats 137,000 times a day. Wow. If it missed 3 or 4 beats, you either got stroke or dead. Isn't that a blessing, man? What? Imagine if we had to every minute do something to get our heart to work. No one of us could even enjoy life, let alone the blinking of our eyes, the ears, the noses. These are all blessings. Why are we even saying thank you? You know, your job gives you, your boss gives you a job and a paycheck, and you say always thank you. If he gives you a little bonus, oh, thanks, boss. Why aren't we thanking the Almighty for giving us a chance to wake up every single day? Because we Muslims say a prayer every morning. The Prophet taught us that when we wake up, we say, Alhamdulillah, ahyana ba'da ma amatana, meaning all praise and thanks to God for giving me life after I was dead. And to God we shall return. Because sleeping, you were dead. You weren't controlling your life when you were sleeping. How many people pass away in the mornings? 90% of them. I know, because I get the calls at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. He passed away 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 a.m. It shows you, man, it's reality.
Wow.
I got you.
It's just, we don't think about it, do we? We're just so caught up in life that we actually don't think about death.
Bro, you know where I hear the most real talk, the most logical talk, and it's always the same sentence at the cemetery. When I see people at funerals, everyone says the same thing to me. Ahmad, this life's not worth anything, man. Everyone seems to say that word at the cemetery. Bro, what's this life? Worthless. Because they're there to visit someone that they ate with, lived with, loved, whatever. And they realize that When that love for this world is gone, that made you live, what are you living for now? You know, because we say that death is a destroyer of pleasure. Hadimul ladhat. The Prophet taught us that death is a destroyer of pleasure. What pleasure is that? The pleasure of this world. Any sort of, we've seen some of the biggest stars pass away, right? Or their kids pass away. I mean, the other day, Francis Ngannou, his young boy, 18 months, Kobe, passed away. He was broken, bro. I read his messages. I've seen some of the stuff he put out. He didn't know what to do anymore. This is a big, tough man in the world. But death brought him to his knees, man. Because he lost someone he dearly loved, and you can't control it. You have no say in it. All the money in the world, or the status in the world, or the pull you have in the world ain't going to bring it back.
I'm getting emotional now because you just mentioned like losing a child, and myself, we're both fathers.
Yeah.
My little one's 2, and
Wow.
I just couldn't imagine something like that happening. And I see videos of you having to bury babies, and you being a father, I'm like, that would be tough, man.
Bro, you know, like my kids are grown up now. My youngest is, 19, but I'm a grandfather. And when I have my like 2-year-old over, she's my granddaughter, and she runs a muck, and I'm mellow out, I become jelly for her. I think to myself, man, just last week I buried a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, and I held them in my arms like this, and I shrouded them. And I think to myself, bro, if that was my granddaughter, how would I handle it, I see her in her prime, her actions, her laughter, the words she says, they just memorize you, they mesmerize you. Imagine it was to hit, like we are, bro, we live on this earth every single day dodging landmines. The path you take every day, landmines are everywhere, brother. You don't know when the phone call's going to come, something happened to your kid, something happened to your wife, your mum, your dad, something happened to you, and same to them. And every day we're dodging, and is it us that's dodging them? No, it's the Almighty. He's given us the pathway that we're going to, go through in this world. But eventually we're going to hit one of those landmines. And how big it is and how much destruction it does, it depends on the calamity.
Yeah, that's a big thing for me, is just spending as much quality time with my daughter, with my partner, with my loved ones, because who knows? And yeah, fuck.
Bro, I did yesterday a funeral for a lady who's 93 years old, and her 2 sons, they're like full Australian, man. They talk like full Aussie, And she was from Marrickville, and I said to her son, the night before, I rang him because I always touch base with the family members, bro. What's going to happen tomorrow? And he said to me, he said, Ahmed, my mum lives with me. I've been looking after her for years, and it's going to be a good rest now, man. I need it, I'm tired. And I said, but brother, you were favored. He goes, what do you mean? I said, God favored you, bro. You're 2 brothers, but she lived with you. You looked after her. You're never going to get to do this again. This was your mother. Like, you were chosen to spend all that time with her before she died. You're the last one to be with her. Bro, you'll take that to your grave. So don't hate the moment. Love it and cherish it, because this was something that's never going to happen again to you. And he goes, I never thought of it like that, man. And then we're at the cemetery, and I said to one of them, jump in the grave, It's really you guys, it's your mum, you should be putting it in. And one of the brothers said, oh, no. And I said, I don't put pressure on him, right? But I try to give him that little bit push, The other one said, I don't want to do it in my clothes. I looked at him, I said, brother, you get one mother and you're going to do this once in your whole life. And the other people said, yeah, go in. And he went in, man, and it was like, thank God he got to do it, because I know now, today and onwards, he's going to go, thank God I did that. Can't turn back time, bro. That's why right now, don't procrastinate. Do what you got to do. Make that call. Ring that person. Go do that, whatever you got to do.
You would see a lot of regret on people's faces.
Unbelievable, bro. Regret, what a word. And that's not even at the cemetery. Like, that's not even the dead being regretting. Biggest regrets I see with people is, I wish, I should have. Why didn't I? And it's like, damn, bro. Like, a lot of it is biffs, internal fighting with siblings. I haven't spoken to my brother 10 years. No, I'll never let it go. But when he dies, oh, bro, why didn't I just let it go? Can't change, can't bring back time, You can't bring them back now to say, forgive me, brother. I've had people call me and say to me, Like one family's got issues and one of the brothers is a peacemaker and he's ringing them up saying to him, sister, please sort it out with your brother. And he lives overseas. Please sort it out. And the other brother, please sort it out. And then one of the other brothers said to him, brother, next time you call me and talk about this, don't call me ever again. He hung up on him. That brother that made the call that was trying to make peace died a few days later. And that guy that he spoke to here and his son told me he's never been the same, man. He just keeps on putting his head down and rubbing it. Like his brother rang him. It was like pretty much farewelling you with the words of, be good to your brother, be good to your sister. Instead, he told him, his arrogance got in there, you know, his pride. Don't call me about this issue again. And he hung up on him and he never got to talk to him again. And that was the last sentence he said to him. This is reality, man. This is reality. Weigh the last word that comes out of your mouth. Weigh it on the scales and see how heavy it is. Because put yourself in the position of, if they were the last words I left that person with and he was to die tomorrow, was that good or bad?
Do you have any regrets from people that have passed?
Yeah, I've got a lot of regrets. Not that I've hurt people. I've always trying to be good to people. But regrets where... But then again, you know, if I think about it, it was decreed for me to live what I lived, to go through what I went through, to be where I am today. There's nothing I could say I could change that would have made a difference. But I regret not, like, you know, I used to dig graves when I was 19. Like, I was at the cemetery for 15 years digging graves. And I used to jump in the grave and bury the people. And because I was bodybuilding, I was big and strong, it was like, yeah, you know, I was like the centerpiece. Oh, look at big guy on the excavator. And I used to pick up the body sometimes myself if there was no one to bury. And I'd pick up because we'd be on a shroud and I'd lay in myself. But my heart wasn't attached to what I did. Not like I am now. If I knew then what I know now, I cry for every person I bury now. It's so emotional to me. Well, back then it wasn't. It was like, I can't wait till 5 o'clock to be in the gym. You know, it's time for my next meal. I was detached. Now I'm attached and now it's so much more sweeter.
Who has been, or is there, like, babies are obviously hard to bury, but who has been the hardest person to bury for you?
My mum.
Yeah?
My mum, man. I remember I dropped her off at the hospital for day surgery and, you know, as I drove off, I looked in the mirror at 6 a.m. and she's come back out and I said, what are you doing? She goes, oh, a quick cigarette. All right, get back in there. She goes, get me my oregano bread when you come back at midday, pick me up. I want my manusha, you know. I was like, all right, mum, all right, just go in, yalla. You know, just don't cause a scene in there, you know, because my mum was a clown. And I let her, man. She went in, man, and that day we were told that, you know, she's going to stay overnight. And anyway, cut the story short, she ended up hemorrhaging and dying in surgery without them telling us. And she went to the coroner. It was during the Christmas time. And when I went to pick her up from the coroner, like imagine I go pick up people from the thing and we have to identify them and all that. Imagine when it's your mum. The one who held me in her womb. The one who I remember when I was a kid, she'd always protect me from my dad, you know, cover up, you know, all this stuff that mums do. And when they brought her out on the trolley in the body bag, and I know the girls at the coroner, and they said, just can you identify her arm tag and all that? I just opened the bag, I seen her, and I said, yeah, it is Nidal Harris. And I said, and they looked at me and I said, it's my mum. And they were like in shock, you know. And that was probably one of the things I'll never forget, bro. And then obviously they washed my mum and I drove her to the cemetery and I jumped in the grave and I laid her to rest and I visit her grave every time I'm at the cemetery now. And I make everyone know about her. And I think this is the legacy that, you know, even Ray Martin visited her grave for me when we were doing a documentary. And I think to myself, this is the best I can keep doing for her. You know, there was times where I should have even spent more time. There was times when your mum would ring and you'd look and go, oh, it's mum. I'll stay on the call with my mate, you know. You know, you're talking to your mate or you're talking to someone or whatever and your mum, and it's like, yeah, she can wait. This is more important.
Or you go, oh, like, what do you want?
Yeah, or you answer, she'll ring 2-3 times, what's wrong?
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, the issues aren't issues when you kind of put it into perspective. And I think to myself now, why did I do that? You know, why didn't I just hang up right there and then on my mate and take the call off my mum, who was my mum? But they're regrets. That's when you say regret. That's a regret.
I'm very curious, like, how did you go from essentially building your body to then burying bodies? Was it from the 19-year-old, you were digging graves?
Yeah.
Then you went through bodybuilding, and then I know there was a period where you prayed to get this love of bodybuilding out of you.
Yeah.
Why?
You know, look, when I was 17, my first job on the weekends was at Woolies in the distribution centre in Homebush. So we lived in the Shire. And the weekends I would drive down. Everyone had a girlfriend. I couldn't get a girlfriend for some reason. I don't know why. Awkward. I don't know what it was. So I'm thinking maybe God's saving me for the special one. So we'd start shift at 2 p.m. and finish at 11 p.m. on Saturday, Sunday. So I would, drive down at midday, 11 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'd go to I'd drive past the cemetery going to Homebush, and then I went into the cemetery once. I started driving around the cemetery. And I was 17. I was on my piece.
What made you want to do that?
I don't know, bro. I don't know. I just seen cemetery. I go, I want to go through to see what's going on here. I was intrigued, and I wanted to kill time. So every week I started to go earlier. Like 10 o'clock, I'd be at the cemetery. I've got 4 hours to kill. I want to go walk around, see. So I started to read names and ages and pictures. You look at the pictures, and I look at the picture of the deceased. Say, man, when that picture was taken, he was so happy. He was at a wedding, or, the smiles on their faces. You see those pictures, you go, he's dead now, far out. Like, this is how I used to think. And I was intrigued with death, man. And then I bought a whippersnipper, and I started to clean the cemetery up, like in my spare time, thinking I wanted to look good. If I was dead, I was always OCD, so I was thinking if I was dead, I want to be my place to look nice. And that's where I started, man. And yeah, like it's kind of how I started to get involved in the cemetery and funerals.
But then why did you pray to have the love of bodybuilding taken out of you?
Bro, goes back to Pakistan, the foundations of Islam, and what I was the reason being on this earth for, to be a good person. And bodybuilding wasn't making me a good person. Bodybuilding has a lot of pride in it, has a lot of selfishness in it, has a lot of boasting in it. It doesn't keep you humble.
I was going to ask, bodybuilding is usually fueled by a lot of insecurities for a lot of
That's
bodybuilders.
right.
Was that the case for you?
Look, probably some of it, because back in high school and that, like, I did little athletics. I'd make it to state. I did swimming. I'd make it to state. But none of these accolades made my mates look at me as someone, I want to be the cool guy at school, I couldn't, because I was a nerd in school. I'd be friends with the nerds because I was in the A1 classes, but then I'd hang out with the bad boys because I wanted to be cool too, because I boxed and all that. But I wasn't a troublemaker. Like, my mum raised me in a way. I had a good heart. I feel sorry for people. I let people go, all that. And I thought to myself, you know what? Like, bodybuilding was something that I could do myself. I don't have to, because I remember a few times when you pick teams in school, you never get picked. Like, you're thinking, far out, bro. Why are you picking me, man? Like, it hurts, man, Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, everyone picks the favourites, and then when there's 2-3 people left at the end and you're one of them. And I used to go, fuck, like, bro, who are you, man? Like, I'll show you. That was my mind. I'll show you, always. And I remember on my year 10 or year 11, like prom, like that thing.
Yep.
Bro, I remember I went for about an hour, and I saw all the heroes from the school, like, everyone's dressed, and we didn't have money, bro. My parents were doing it tough. I had Grosby's on, I left, bro. I ran back home, and I went to the park across the road, started doing push-ups, sit-ups, and shadow sparring, and all this stuff I learned how to do. And I said, I'm just going to train while they're all partying, And that was like my attitude. That kind of started fueling me that I want to do something with my life. I want to be seen. I want to be noticed. But, and that's what bodybuilding did. It started, I got stronger and stronger. And, when you're squatting 300 kilos and lifting all this heavy weight, the attention turns to you. And I loved it, bro. And it fueled me. But it made me also a person who I'm not. This angry person. Because people would say to me, bro, when I'm with you one-on-one, you're like a bear. A kind, soft bear. But at the gym, we get scared to look at you. And that was part of it, man. And then, obviously, when I got sick with kidney failure and sitting in hospital, that really assessed my situation in life,
And you believe that was a result of you praying for bodybuilding to be taken out of you?
I believe that was part of it, because I was never going to leave bodybuilding, bro. It was something that I was always going to go back to. It was just something that it was programmed for 20 years in you.
And you obviously still train.
I still train, but my attitude's different now, And when I went through kidney failure, and I conceded defeat when I had to take dialysis, because I remember the first day they said to me, they took me in the dialysis ward at St. Vincent's, and they said to me, you're going to be doing dialysis? And I said, what? That's God's waiting room, man. I ain't going in there, because all these old people on dialysis hooked up like this. And 3 months later, man, I'm in there. And, even though a lot of people put their hand up to give me a kidney, one person was a perfect match, and I was fortunate, and It was a struggle, man, because COVID came. They stopped a lot of stuff, and
So this was only a couple of years ago.
yeah, 3 years now.
Oh wow.
3 years ago, man, and it made me really. I was the most impatient person in the world, bro. I was thinking to myself, I can lift so heavy, I can do so much. When I went to the doctor like 5 years ago to see for my kidneys, he said to me, "Man, your kidneys aren't doing well." And I looked at him and said, "You know what I did today? I bench pressed this, I did that, I did this. I'll pick you up one-handed. Like, what? Nothing's wrong with me." That was my attitude. It was a wrong attitude, And finally, when I realized that I was sick and I needed help, I just said to the doctors, "Man, I surrender." And I learned to, if I went to the doctors for an appointment and I had to wait 5 extra minutes, I'd jump up and down. I had no patience. I started to learn to be at peace with myself. I could sit for hours if they was running late and I didn't care. I would just make, prayers in my mind. I would read something that was beneficial. I would catch up on something I want to learn knowledge about. I had something to occupy me instead of I have to go to the gym.
So that near-death experience really made you think, hey, like, fuck, life is too short and this is the direction I want to go now. Like, how did you find yourself actually then becoming, is it a funeral director you are and, and a mortician, right?
Yeah.
How did you find yourself actually going into that?
So, like, when I was still, I was working in Dubai for a while, especially in the bodybuilding game, America, and I'd travel a lot, but I'd be back home every couple of weeks. I was helping the one of the royal family guys setting up at gyms overseas and all that. So I'd come home for 2 weeks, go back overseas. The 2 weeks I was here, I'd be back at the funeral parlour because I started there. Because my first job there was picking up bodies at 18, So I'd go back and see the oldies there, the old guys there, the old timers, and I'd help them. I'd lift the bodies off the tables, lift the bodies onto the coffins, carry the coffins up. Like I was always, it kept me at bay. It was a 1-2 hours of the day, and then I'd still train. It was kind of like catch up with the history. And when they all got sick and the oldies started to pass away, I got thrown back in there, and it's like everything just paved its way, man. It's just like I got my kidney, I got healthy again. The man that washes, the old man that taught me everything, he got sick, so I came back in to wash, and then he came and said his goodbyes to me, and I washed him a week later, and there you go, like I'm kind of the washer now. And from there I kind of built a new funeral parlour there, and just things took off, And I said, but I made an oath to myself, Nick, that when I was sick I said, if you give me, because I gave up at one stage.
Yeah, I was going to say, was there a darker day?
But there was, bro. I remember one stage I said to him, I called the staff in, a vascular surgeon. I said to him, Mr. Evans, take this. I had this catheter here in my neck. And I said, take it out. Because you couldn't have a shower. You couldn't swim. You couldn't do nothing, bro. Like 6 months of this, 7 months, 8 months. And he said, because what they did was they rang me and said, look, we're going to change it to your arm and balloon your arm. And I remember that look of those big, have you seen the guys that do dialysis? It's buckled. I said, man, my forearm's like, I love my forearm. I'm not going to wreck my forearm. I said, I'm doing it. And then I said, I'm doing a transplant. He goes, yeah, but COVID, all the operations have stopped. We don't know how long it's going to go for. I said, I don't care. I'll stop dialysis. I said, no. And they all came to my room one night, all the doctors, and they said to me, look, we're going to do the surgery tomorrow for your ballooning of your arms and all that. I said, no. I said, you're going to do the surgery tomorrow, take this thing out of my neck. And they looked at me, why? I said, I'm not doing dialysis anymore. I'm done. That was my word, I'm done. And they go, just take it easy. And they rang my wife. They thought, I'm going for a psychological craziness. I said, I'm done. That's it. They said, we'll give you 4 weeks. I said, for what? They said, for you to die. And you're going to die very painfully and miserably. And I just, for my head, damn, man, my daughter just got married. I want to see my grandkid. I want, like, you know what I mean? I still want to live, bro. Is that my life? I'm looking at all these videos on my phone of where I used to go, what I used to do, people I was around, all that glitz and glamour of life. I thought, is that what it sums down to, a hospital bed and I'm going to die in 4 weeks? And bro, the rest is history, man. Like, that kind of just woke me up. And I continued till God's plan prevailed, and I did my transplant, and I am where I am today.
So did you end up getting the tube out of your neck and like had nothing for a period of time?
So what happened was that was a Thursday night, and then being Ahmad Hraichie, who doesn't say no, take no for an answer, I rang a lawyer, big time lawyer I know. I said, look, I want you to file to the Supreme Court injunction that I want my surgery done whether they like it or not, because I've already offered to do it privately. I'll pay for the other guy, and they're saying no. And I even spoke to the minister, like back then Chris Minns was opposition leader, and they were like, it's classed as a category 2 because you can wait, there's dialysis. But if it was like a kidney from a person who's deceased, they'll do it straight away. Yeah, but my guy that's giving me the kidney can't wait any longer. He's been already pushed 6 months late, and every 2 months you got to redo all the tests, so it's agonizing. So I said, put a court. He goes, oh, let me write to the hospital first. So Saturday he wrote to the hospital, to the GM of the hospital and all that. Monday he rings me, he goes, it's on. I go, what? He goes, your surgery. And doctors came into my room Monday night when I was doing dialysis. They go, that was the words, you rocked the boat. I said, that's what I do. I don't take no. We're in Australia. I've got every chance, like every other person out there, to have my voice heard. Whether it costs money, whatever it is, I'll do it till I die. Because I was willing to sue them, like, even though I'm dead, to be a precedent that this won't happen again. I was going to sacrifice myself for it.
Wow.
I didn't want to do it anymore, man. I hated it. I hated dialysis. Couldn't do it anymore, bro. The ugliness that you felt, going home and just tired, and your days are gone. And every time I'd get in the car, like at midday, and go to the hospital, it was a beautiful, like, summer day. And it's like, I can't even have lunch with my wife. I can't go with my mates. I can't do anything. And no one rings you anymore. And whoever does, oh, how's your liver going? It's like, bro, it's not my liver. It's my kidney. But yeah, my liver's good, you know? It's like, people don't care. I realize people don't care, bro. And if you're waiting for people to care, then you're dreaming. And there was a couple of people that I would talk to coming back from the hospital that would give me, you know, comfort. And to this day, we still talk. But it put things in perspective for me, Nick, that you're on your own in this world, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just like when you die, you're on your own. You're in that grave by yourself.
What's your piece of advice for someone out there, a young man that's, you know, in society, the hustle and the bustle, we're chasing our goals as a man to, you know, get that financial success to provide for our family, but we don't stop to smell the roses and, you know, really enjoy the small things that we take for granted. You know, going out to dinner with your partner, spending quality time with your kids, just simply getting some sun.
Brother, exactly. Just reading a book, whatever.
What's your advice to them?
My advice, balance. Have a balance in life. Anything that tips the scale is not good for the body. Have a balance in life. Have, patience in life. And don't give up. Be dedicated in your life. Don't start something and after a week or two think, oh, there's no success in this. Let things work themselves up and surround yourself with positive people, because misery needs company. And a miserable person will want you to be miserable with him. A positive person will boost you, will boost your morale, will push you to those limits where you sometimes need to be pushing yourself. Because I say every single one of us has a chance out there. Don't let anybody tell you can't do something.
You're surrounded with death every day, essentially. What do you do for yourself to, like, focus on life?
Bro, I love, like, everyone knows I do this jet boarding thing, you know, jet surf.
Yeah, I've seen some of that, yeah.
So I do jet surfing, and in order to learn that after my transplant, I lost a lot of weight and I became flexible. And I thought, you know what, I went back into boxing and I bought a skateboard. I always wanted to skateboard again from my young days. I bought an electric skateboard, now it's electric. And bro, I started to learn balance. I started to skateboard. I was always good balancing, but I got to do the things I wanted to do that I couldn't do when I was bodybuilding, because it consumed my life. And I enjoyed it, bro. And then I've seen this jet surfing thing. So I bought this jet board and I went to Queensland, learned how to ride it, came back, and I just jump on it in the afternoons. I do a 20-minute ride where I meditate while I'm riding, or, you know, got into GoPros, you know, all that stuff that I never ever would consider. And even next weekend, I'm going up to, Sunshine Coast for the first jet surf race.
Really?
So I'm racing next Saturday, yeah. So I'm loving, bro. I'm loving what I'm doing. And this is what gives me my you know, that time out that we need. Plus other things like sitting with my wife and talking, going for walks together. Never did that before, bro. Used to be on a treadmill in a gym. Now I go outside, I walk, you know, I don't make meals the biggest priority in my life. Before, the world can just end as long as I eat my meal. Now it's like, who cares if I have 4, 5, 6 hours I don't eat? It doesn't worry me anymore. I don't care. It's not going to make a difference, you know? And that's how I become, just laid back. But still dedicated. I mean, I still do everything serious in my life.
Yeah, because people are probably listening right now and they're like, this guy's dealing with death every day. Surely he needs therapy to deal with all this stuff. But essentially, training, doing the...
That's one part of it,
Yeah.
the training. And I'm a social butterfly, bro. My phone doesn't stop all day. And if it doesn't ring, I ring people.
Yeah.
And I've got, I'll start ringing the people that, I look at it like this, Nick. Every time I do a funeral, every time I bury someone's mum, dad, family member, I've made a new friend. And I usually call them then. They're on my list of calls. So week 2, 3 passes, I'll call them, I send them a message. Hey bro, how you doing? How's everything going? How's it been after your mum passed away? Do you need help? People freak because nobody wants to talk to anyone unless they're getting something out of them. Everything's business minded these days. But I love it, bro. Calls on mobiles are unlimited. Like Siri can do any message you want. Brother, just do it. Don't get on social media and waste your time. Send those messages to people that people pop up in my mind, from different events in the day, in the week, in the month. And I just remember them. So I tell them that I remember them. You remember someone, tell them you remembered them. Because that could be, so many people need to come back and go, bro, I needed that message. How did you know what I was going through? I said, I don't know what you're going through. But my heart yearned because we're humans. We have this empathy for each other. And I felt like, God just told me to give you a message, bro, to see how you're doing. He goes, bro, I needed that message. You made me realize, what? Life's worth living. I think, man, if you save one, you save mankind.
Yeah, listen to your intuition.
Yeah, man. You know what? Don't sit there and be selfish, bro. Because you ask about people, some people ask about you. Some people find it sometimes, bro, but why are you always asking how my mum, how my dad is, how you... Because, brother, I'm a human. And one day I will not be on this earth anymore. And one day you're going to wish somebody asked about you because you're going to remember me and say, that guy used to always ask about me. He goes, I never thought of it that way. I said, it's what you give is what you get. Keys for goodness, bro. A good key is everywhere. It opens doors. And none of it is to do with business. My job is half donations. Like what I do, it's not even for money. It just pays my wages. But I love what I do, bro. For what I put up with, no one will do it. But because my heart is for the ending and not for now, not materialistically world, I don't care. I'm alive, I know. I got a roof on my head. I got my health. To me, that's the most valuable asset I can ever have. I'll just keep doing what I do until I pass away.
Why are you so passionate about what you do?
Because we're all going to go through it. It's something that is so unique as a human being to do with death that nobody knows what to do with it. For something that is so certain to happen to every single one of us, it's a promise. None of us have prepared for it. If me and you were going on a trip now to the Ayers Rock, we're going to prepare for the weather. We're going to prepare what we need, the shoes and that for that location. We're all going to death. Why aren't we preparing for it? Oh, how do I prepare for death? Easy. Do good deeds. So when you are dead, you're remembered. You're not just a lost grave that nobody knows who you are anymore. That your legacy still lives on. The school that you help run, the kids that you taught, the knowledge you gave this guy, the charity that you gave here, the water well you gave in some orphans in Africa, whatever you did, whatever, it's still going, bro. And that's a legacy. That is an ongoing charity that when you're dead, where you cannot do any more deeds because you're dead, you're cut from this world, your deeds are still going.
Yeah, what do you want to be remembered for?
I want to remember for someone who just was there for everyone to help people. That that committed my life for my community, for people's endings. That's all I want to be remembered for.
I'm curious, why do Muslims bury very quickly, like the same day? Because
pretty much if you can.
Yeah, if you can, because I know most other religions usually it's about a week or so it can take, but you guys is the same day.
Us and Judaism, Jewish, they do the same because we believe that once the soul departs from the body and leaves the earth, it doesn't belong on this earth anymore. So the body needs to be taken care of straight away. The body is just a body. And the body will decompose and start smelling and all that stuff hours after you die. So it's dignity. You got to give dignity to the deceased. And how do you dignify them? By burying them quickly. Because you notice with every faith, once you bury Nick, people seem to be at ease now. As long as the body is in linger, like we saw the two brothers from Perth that were murdered overseas, surfing and that. Their family, I could feel with them so much. But they're not going to be happy till the body is returned back and buried. Then you'll see everything just settles. You've got a place to go to. You can mourn. You can sit there. It's just humanity, man. But as long as the body's out and people are still talking about it, it puts a lot of anxiety to the family, you know. It's easy for us who are external, but what about the wife? What about the mother? What about the father? They're the ones that really feel it. And they just want to be put at ease, man. And how do you put them at ease? Burying the body as quick as possible.
Do you ever get used to doing your job?
You know, it's funny you say that, because sometimes my heart, like, I feel, like, I don't feel it. Like, usually, man, I have to cry every couple of days. I have to cry while I do a funeral, or I have to kick everyone out of the room after I've taken the body out for viewing and just go back in the room by myself and just ponder what just happened. And when I don't feel that anymore, I draw back again. I say, what's happened? What's going on, Ahmad? What's engulfed your mind now? And I usually weed it out straight away, and I detach from it. And I say, give me back that feeling of when I used to cry. My heart used to, like, if I talk, I straight away start out that I'm about to cry, because it hits my heart. And that way I know my connection is with what I do and my heart are together now. It's not a job for me. You know, other religions or faiths, it might be just a job. You know, a guy who, you know, these funeral directors, a lot of friends of mine who are not Islamic, they've attended a funeral for, like, a friend who's a colleague who's Muslim. They all come up to me and say the same thing. They said, bro, that was so dignified what you did. It just felt like, I wish that happened when my dad died. When my dad died, for example, and I asked him, what happened? Oh, when my dad died, they took him, and all they were concerned about, what casket do you want to use? You know, what makeup, what suit? Like, it was all about the external stuff, not the internal stuff. The stuff that's going to go in the dirt, that's going to rot. You know, coffins, $5,000, $10,000, 15, 20. What cars do you want out? That's all like a wedding, you know, like an itinerary. But you guys don't care about that. You guys just, it's strangers are lifting the coffin. People that don't even know the deceased are carrying it. They're all fighting to hold it. It's like, sincerely, I said, because we dignify our deceased. We're all one ummah. We're all one community. We're all brothers and sisters to each other. It's not a business here. This is not a business. This is basically not for profit. And that's the difference, man. That's why you'll find people see it, man. People see it. Anyone who's been for a funeral will tell you how agonizing it is to deal with funeral directors, and because it's all about the money. Yep. They all care about the money, bro.
Yeah, my granddad recently passed away, and there was, it was a process.
They got to pay off that $400,000 hearse. Our hearses were donated. We don't care. They're donated. Our mechanics are all members of our community who give up their, you know, they donate to fix things. Tires, everyone donates something, because everyone wants to be part of a good deed. Well, on the other hand, other people out there, it's a business. You know, they're not going to do a few funeral if the cars cost them $400,000 and people on wages and suits. And that's why a lot of people say, oh, but see, the Muslims, they don't give respect to the deceased, because, you know, everyone's wearing tracksuit pants, but the deceased doesn't see what you're wearing. It's not about the deceased here. You know, I tell everyone the same thing. When we're going to the cemetery, we're taking the deceased to the cemetery. I said, the deceased is taking us to show us where we're going next. The deceased is going to be buried whether you like it or not. Somebody will eventually bury you, okay? Even if you had no family, you're going to get buried. But what's the lesson in when you take in a coffin or a deceased to the cemetery? The lesson is for the people alive to go there and see where you're going to end up one day, what's going to happen to you. Because we say, you know, God tells us that you all compete. The world is all competing until you visit the cemetery. Compete, you all compete until you visit the cemetery. Why? Why when you visit the cemetery there's no competition anymore? Have you ever heard someone go, oh bro, look at his tombstone, it's bigger than his. Look at his, bro, he's got a nicer, you know, headstone. Never heard that my whole life, bro. Ever. Because it's the most realistic place you can ever go to.
Wow. That actually just got me thinking, like, when my time comes, like, I don't care about the suit or anything.
Yeah.
Like, just the humbleness in the Muslim faith to be wrapped in that same white garment, buried. It is very humbling, and it really does put life into perspective that we are all human.
Yeah. And then we say it's your deeds that you take with you.
Yeah.
You know, we say 3 things follow the deceased to the cemetery: his family, his wealth, and his deeds. 2 of them return. His family and wealth go back home. They get attended to. His deeds will stay with him in that grave. Because no one can take your deeds away once you've done them. They're written in your book.
Yeah.
See, that's why your deeds should be the most beloved thing to you on this earth. Doing good deeds.
I'm curious, in the Islam faith, is there the option to be cremated, or is it always burying?
Cremation is a no-no.
Okay.
It's we don't see in Islam the body is not to be mutilated, not to be so even when we wash the deceased we use warm water.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, people are like, why, bro? He's dead. Who cares? No, because the deceased still feels. We know he feels. Why? Because we know that we were taught not to slam bodies, not to just drop them on the ground.
It's that respect.
Have respect. Have respect for them, man. Keep them covered. When you wash them, they're still covered from navel to knee. You don't see none of their private areas. When you turn them to wash their backs, you'll put a curtain to cover so no one sees. It's dignity, man. It's really dignity. And for me, it's such a blessed job that, bro, I thought to myself yesterday, bro, I washed my mate who I went to school with 30 years ago. I would never believe I'm going to wash you. I washed him. Like, I've washed my mate's dads who, when I was a kid, he'd be, we'd be fearing him. Oh, your dad's strict, man. Like, all this stuff, it hits me sometimes. I think to myself, if someone washed you when you're alive, you'll never forget it. How many people have been washed in hospitals? They'll never forget, I got showered by the nurse or bath because I couldn't even do it for myself. And I think to myself, what an honor that I have. What a platform and honor and blessing that I get to wash a deceased. Someone who was, and every funeral is different. Some people, their parents are like on platforms so high because they are the most important things in their life. And others aren't. Everyone has a different family. But I get to be that one who gives them their rights, who sends them off in the most dignified way, and it's the onus is on me to do the right thing. I will never take a shortcut, bro. I don't care how much stuff comes out of his mouth. I've got to keep cleaning it. I don't care how much stuff comes out from the bottom of him, what he ate the day before. I've got to keep cleaning it. No matter how bad the smell is, no matter how much blood's pouring out, I've got to keep working on it till I get it right. And that's an honor for me.
Yeah, I seen a video on your page where this 13-year-old helped you wash his own father. Man.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And one thing that stuck with me was where he said, I wouldn't expect a 13-year-old to say this, where he said, what was it? Every soul shall face death.
Yeah. Young Yaqub. He watched his dad, Kawa Lush, good friend of ours. Last person I expected to die, bro. They had a family get-together, went back home to the Central Coast and died of a heart attack. And I actually heard the phone call to Triple O with his wife on the phone and him. And he actually said he was embracing death as he was dying. It's like he's seen the angels. For the last 2 years, he pulled his life up. See, you know what I love about, especially in any religion, right? But especially in our religion that we grew up with, is it doesn't matter how you start. You could be the worst person on this earth. It's how you end. What's your ending going to be like? Because the ending is what you take. Because what you lived your life on, doing, is what you will be resurrected on. Some of the worst people in all faiths started off fighting the faith, killing people of the faith. And then they embrace the faith and they become the most upholders of that faith. So it doesn't matter how you start your life. You could be the worst criminal all your life and done drugs and been the worst of human beings, but then, you've been given repentance. You forgive, you become humbled in life, and then you change it all. And they're the ones I find that have the most regrets. They wish they weren't like that, but it doesn't matter. That was your journey. It's how you end, not how you start.
Ahmed, this has been a very, very deep and interesting conversation.
Yeah.
And I thank you for coming here and sharing.
I told you, bro, I could talk forever.
Yeah, I know. You have a lot of knowledge, a lot of wisdom, and
thank you.
A massive reality check to myself, to the listeners out there, that we just don't know when our time's up, and to live every day like it could be our last.
Yeah. I get a lot of messages, on social media from people who, first of all, thank for what I do, reminds them of what's going to happen, but from funeral directors, from other faiths, who say to me, what you do is so dignified, And I'm not putting Islam on a pedestal here that, oh, we're the best and that. It's as humans, we should all have this in us. We should all treat each other as humans. Treat others how you want to be treated. Love for your brother what you love for yourself. If you love for yourself to be, like you love whatever it is you love, man, love it for your brother too. Don't wish I want it for me and nobody else. And that's where us humans have gone wrong. We need to all get back to the drawing board, bro. Back to humanity. Yeah. Back to, you know what, he's struggling. Whatever his problem is, someone else has a bigger problem. Don't judge people, man. You don't know what that person's going through. You don't know what he's been going through. You don't know where his state of mind is. And keep in touch with each other, bro. A phone call, a message. Hey, bro, you all right, man? You need anything? And just a word, man. Do you need anything? He's not going to ask you to go to Mount Everest for him. Do you need anything? It's a nice word. People aren't going to ask for anything. But it's nice to know that you're loved or thought of.
From a religion standpoint, with most religions, but the Muslim religion, it can have a bad name to it. And especially me growing up, people around me said, Muslim's not a good religion. But now having conversations with a fair few Muslim brothers like yourself, I have so much love and so much respect for your religion. And I think it's just, for anyone listening, have an open mind. Don't judge a book by a cover.
Bro. I got mates that are Christians, I love them. They're like my brothers. I got mates that, different religions. I say, you're like a brother to me, bro. But at the end of the day, the media is always going to portray something the way they want it. Media is there to sell papers, get listeners, and cause controversy in whatever they have to make a subject keep going. Let people do their own study, bro. We all got brains. This social media is, a button away now. Do your own research. Ponder for yourself. Ask the questions. At the end of the day, Islam, or all faiths, we believe in all the faiths at one point were correct. They're all correct. They've all got some fundamental part of them of faith that is back to one God, to worship one God. Mm-hmm. So worship one God and stop worshiping yourselves, because too many people don't even worship a God anymore. They don't even remember how they came, where they went, and they're oblivious to, to what's going on. We're not saying, go learn the scriptures and go find out what this prophet did and that prophet did. People don't want to know that. But people want a book of life. You buy a magazine, you buy a computer, it's going to tell you how to use it. It's going to tell you, you buy this special device, there's a manual for it. How do I use it? Any troubleshooting? And we say religion is your book of advice on how to live. And for us, the Quran is our book, and it has everything in it on how to live in this, from charity to percentage of how much to give, to who gets what in inheritance, who's entitled to what, bro, it's a book of life. We need it as humans to know how to live. But I'll go back to what I said originally. The fundamental of all life for everyone, no matter what age you are, is respect each other. Have respect to each other. Don't cheat, don't kill, don't lie, treat each other fairly. They're the fundamentals of any religion. So stick to the fundamentals if you don't want to go beyond that. We're not saying, you have to be this and that. So be a human being, bro. Because we say in our religion, only the one who comes to God with the sound heart. Who knows your heart? I can't judge your heart. You can't judge my heart. Nobody knows people's hearts in there. We can't read the heart except God. He's the one that turns your heart. He's the one that reads your heart. So he knows what you whisper and what you say out loud.
We have a closing tradition on the podcast where the previous guest leaves a question for the next guest without knowing who it is. So the question for you, Ahmad, is, if you could have a superpower that would help you change the world, what would it be and how would you use it?
If I did have that superpower, I would let everybody realize and remember death, so they don't get attached to this world, and don't let the world break them, and don't let the world bring them down. And to learn that, feel blessed every single day that you're given life. That would be my superpower. To let everyone realize that their life, today you're alive, you were favored by God to still be alive. It wasn't in your hands. It was in the Almighty's hands. Gave you another chance to be alive today.
Ahmad, Thank you so much,
Nah,
man.
thank you,
This
bro.
has been an eye-opener.
I love
Man,
you. Boys, well, Jim.
no, I appreciate you so much. And for all the listeners, where can they find you and support everything that you're doing?
I never pump like my social medias up because everyone just watches them anyway. They go viral. But, you know, I'm on TikTok as the Muslim Undertaker, Instagram, Aussie Mammoth, Facebook's just my name. Boys, just all I ask for everyone, watch my videos. I mean, watch and take out of it what you think will benefit you in your life. My videos are real, bro. I do them. No one's ever done what I did. I know that for a fact. No one's ever gone to funerals, done videos from a funeral car with a live funeral going on, or at the cemetery, or at the time of death, or babies in my hand. You know, I've done videos where I've held babies in one hand and said, why have we been given life and this baby hasn't? All these questions, just watch and ponder. And anyone wants to ask me questions, bro, I try to answer every question I can on my messages. Just inbox me, and I'm love to, bro. And I don't make a dollar out of what I do, bro. I mean, TikTok sent me the other day, I think I've had 187 million views now combined. And I thought to myself, damn, if I was making 10 cents, I don't make a dollar what I do, man. I'll never will. I attend youth centers on a daily basis. Anybody out there who would love me to go and talk to youth, I don't, it's not just for Muslims, bro. It's for, like I said, humanity. The message of death is universal. I attend, I don't charge a dollar, bro. I usually attend 2, 3 times, 4 times a week, different places. And I like to give the youth a talk because I believe our youth are our future. Our youth are the next generation to uphold and carry the torch. So why aren't we empowering them now? Why aren't we giving them good role models and good mentors that they can actually see and talk to, and not dreams that are on, you know, TV, that not really the good people that people make them out to be.
Man, it just shows the type of man you are, and thank you for doing what you do, and
Thank you,
keep
man.
doing it.
Appreciate it, bro. Now got to get my visa stamped to get out of here. Thank you.